The international coalition is working with the Syrian Democratic Forces to address this ongoing threat of ISIS in camps. There are 10,000 ISIS fighters detained in north and east Syria, and they are in more than 20 camps. And then we have about 50,000 ISIS family members in Al-Hol camp and Al-Roj camp. There are also smaller camps that have teenage boys, and the United States and the coalition are helping the Syrian Democratic Forces with financial assistance, training for the Asaish, and also medical assistance. It is important that even terrorists like ISIS are held in a safe and humane manner, and the US and the Syrian Democratic Forces are ensuring that the guards and the prisoners are not harmed by diseases like corona or other diseases of people in small areas. There are ISIS members and ISIS mothers who are very committed to the sick ideology of Daesh, and they are teaching this to their children. The children's number one influence is the mothers, and so the mothers are infecting their minds with ideology. And let's remember now, after the Battle of Baghouz in March of 2019, all of the ISIS family members moved into Al-Hol. Some of the boys are growing up and the girls are growing up, and now some of the mothers are forcing the young boys to get into relationships to produce more children. This is not a good situation. Some of these mothers are also smuggling contraband weapons, cellular phones, and money through the camps and also out of the camps into the sleeper cells for fighters. Let's do a quick history lesson. Remember, ISIS ideology was invented in the late 2000s, but it was not until 2013, under the leadership of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, that ISIS was able to build an army and take over land in Syria and Iraq. And that was because ISIS needed to have regions where there is instability, disarray, groups that were upset at each other, and they used propaganda to recruit fighters and also to scare the population. Some of those conditions still exist, where we have sectarian fault lines. After the defeat of ISIS, we have in areas like Sinjar, you have Hasid al-Shabi, Iraqi army, you have some of the PKK-associated fighters, as well as Peshmerga, all in the same region. And there's high poverty in these regions, and many people feel like the government is not working for them. But there are some things that will prevent ISIS from becoming an army again. I would like to explain. I am fortunate that I have many friends in Iraq and Kurdistan and Rojava, and they have sent me WhatsApp messages saying, Colonel, what's going on? Will there be a war with the US and Iran? I am here to tell you, no, absolutely not. These are rumors. What has happened is we have had a normal transition of American troops replacing one group. So we had a group from Ohio. They have been replaced by a group from New York. During that transition, we have a temporary increase in the number of troops as the new soldiers come in and the old soldiers go out. But there is no desire for the United States to have a war with Iran. Just a short-term increase. In fact, that increase is done now. We have the troops from New York who are here. The coalition also transitioned the general, the two-star general, changed in Baghdad. And we have seen at the same time at the US consulate in Erbil, the consulate general has changed from Mr. Irvin Hicks to Mark Stroh. Mark Stroh is somebody who is familiar with the region. He was posted in Syria working with the Syrian Democratic Forces in the fight against ISIS and providing humanitarian assistance in Syria. The United States Congress has prepared legislation, a law, to provide continued support for the Peshmerga for 1 year. Every year, this support is voted on to be renewed. The United States is supporting the Kurdistan region government's decision to unify the Peshmerga. But right now, what we've found is there are political groups that are resisting this unification. But I want to tell your viewers that unification of the Peshmerga is good for Kurdistan region. Unification will make the Peshmerga stronger. Unification will make a centralized command structure, and unification will reduce the cost for logistics and supplies, and unification will ensure that there is electronic banking and the Peshmerga are paid as they should be paid. So the US, Netherlands, UK, and Germany are encouraging the Peshmerga to achieve the goals that they have set for themselves. As part of the military funding legislation, the United States is going to study air defense systems for Iraq and Kurdistan. The Kurdish government, Kurdish region government and Kurdish people support this. I remember seeing the videos of this studio being blasted by the ballistic missile from Iran. It's so great to see it rebuilt now. And these type of systems would protect the region from ballistic missiles from Iran, these air defense systems. Some of the influences from Iran in Baghdad believe that these systems are designed to attack into Iran. That is not true. The United States wants the Kurdistan region and all of Iraq to be a place where foreign people can come here and feel safe and comfortable, and most importantly, there can be foreign investment, including foreign companies that are working in the oil industry. I'll give you my professional assessment and my personal view based on conversations that I have had. I'm fortunate that I have friends who are in the Peshmerga forces in the east and west, as well as the Ministry of Peshmerga. And the generals all tell me that they are interested in unification. And they see the Peshmerga from 70s and 80s, counterterrorism group, commandos, all as brothers. And look, as a military man, I have seen some of the training that the CTG has been through and the success against ISIS. But there are political forces that are preventing these groups from coming together and unifying. And I hope that those forces can focus on the goal of keeping all Kurdish people safe. And those goals are not related to politics, they are related to security and prosperity for the region. Well, a couple things about Al-Hol. One, it's a difficult situation because you have families from many different countries who need to go home. And not all of the families are bad in conducting violence, but there are some women who are desperate to try to escape. And they pay bribes and they have snuck into water tank trucks to try to get out of Al-Hol. We are very fortunate that the Asayish from the Syrian Democratic Forces are vigilant. They are looking closely and they are preventing any of these ISIS members from getting out. Sir Shava Ho Hafiz.